All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, excuse me, at 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, talking all things professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring here on the GSMC Sports Network. So make sure you catch the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. Also send some chats. This show is, it's a lot better with a lot of audience engagement. Tell me how you feel about some certain promos. Tell me who you think is going to win certain matches that we talk about. So yeah, just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw review. We had our NXT preview. We also had the Wyatt Six and Chad Gable, Bo Dallas, their futures of what their promo ultimately kind of meant on Monday Night Raw. We also talked about when will WWE pull the trigger on Jey Uso. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of time, a lot of patience, but yeah, now we're going to dig into our fifth and final segment today in wrestling history. I'm just kidding. I don't know why. Like whenever I do that, like it just reminds me of the Hawk and Animal and stuff like that. All right, so we're gonna start. Pull my Delorean up. It is 1990, the 27th edition of WWF. Saturday night, Saturday night's main event in Omaha, Nebraska. You saw the Ultimate Warriors retain their WWF championship. The Ultimate Warrior retained his WWF Championship against in DQ over Ravishing Rick Rude. We saw Demolition retain their WWF Tag Team Championship against the Rockers, which sucked because I'm a huge Rockers fan. I'm a huge Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty. Loved Shawn Michaels in his early years and stuff like that. Um, and then you saw Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect retain his Intercontinental Championship against Tino Santana. I gotta be honest. When I saw Tino Santana, I thought Santino Morella. I don't know why. Like it was just like Santino, Tito. Like, like it makes Santino Morella kind of crazy. But ultimately, it was a day in wrestling history. Wish the Rockers would have beat Demolition, but didn't happen. They retained their WWF Tag Team Championship. So thought that was pretty cool to share. All right, now we are in 1995 WCW Bash at the Beach in Huntington Beach, California. You saw Hulk Hogan defeat Vader in a steel cage match by escaping. This was the first time that they allowed winning through escaping through the steel cage, which is obviously huge, pretty monumental. Now you kind of see this, pins inside and submissions outside of the ring. Are no, to be honest, I dig I gotta be honest. I hate it when people go through their door. I hate it when people open up the steel cage door and they crawl out like it's just like that's so like boring. Like you know what I mean? Like obviously anything can happen. And then the pinning, the submissions. I'm like okay, if you're gonna pin them, if you're gonna submit them to win, just have a regular match, dog. Just have a regular match. Escaping the steel cage has kind of been kind of like a theme of a steel cage now, and it was all thanks to this match. You had Hulk Hogan and you had Vader. Um, just that when you see somebody escape the cage, it just feels like they're escaping hell. If that makes any sense, like they're clawing their way out of the cage, escaping like the hell that they've endured, either like a prison cell or like a like an emotional cell where you feel trapped and stuff like that. Steel cage, fight your demons and them, and Hulk Hogan was able to escape and retain his WCW World Heavyweight Championship. So I thought that was kind of cool to bring up. All right, 1990, no, 2000, we have ECW Heat Wave in Los Angeles, California. You saw Justin Credible defeat Tommy Dreamer in a Stairway to Hell match. Would love to see that. Stairway to Hell, obviously, she's buying the Stairway to Heaven. You know, I love that song. One of the best, songs. Obviously, you saw Jimmy Page come out, totally kick ass. Like, oh no, anyway, focusing on wrestling, not, I do love music, though. Love myself some old school music. So I thought that was kind of cool. One of the main thing about it that kind of happened, you saw wrestlers from the promotion XPW that were sitting front and center, kind of teasing maybe like an invasion and stuff like that, only to find out later that ECW and WCW would be kind of bought out. I figured ECW probably had some, some high hopes for their promotion. Ultimately, find out, that they were going to go bankrupt and stuff like that. But kind of crazy. Obviously it is what it is right now. But it would have been interesting to see what would have happened to WWE or even the professional wrestling industry if ECW and the WCW would have kind of stayed their own shows and stuff like that. And also some sad to kind of touch on 2001. Bam Bam Terry Gordy from the Fabulous Freebirds passed away at age 40. Obviously, the Freebirds are one of the best wrestling tag teams in the in the history of the professional wrestling circuit. So you got to pay respects whenever it's due. Definitely love the Fabulous Freebirds. The tag team division would not be anything near as amazing as it is without the Fabulous Freebirds and also Bam Bam Terry Gordy. So paying respects here on July 16th, 2024. All right, so in 2002, we're all the way to 2002, where the Angels won the World Series. 2002, a day after Eric Bischoff was named Raw General Manager, Stephanie McMahon, of course, has to return to be a SmackDown General Manager. And it just gets me to think, like, obviously when WCW was absorbed by WWF, and then honestly to the point where, it's not really, hidden anymore, that they ultimately kind of wanted to see all these guys fail, and I would include even management. Like you would have Eric Bischoff, so Vince McMahon be like, "Oh, I still want to show him that we're a superior show." So he's gonna run Monday Night Raw. We're gonna run SmackDown with Stephanie McMahon and stuff like that. We're gonna have you lose to my daughter in the ratings and stuff like that. So definitely think that that was a huge possibility of contributing to Vince McMahon's ego or even the McMahon family ego. Like what I mean, they're not really so untarnished or anything like that, but kind of crazy the way things happened with the WCW, ECW, and the WWF. So it would be, honestly, it would surprise me if Vince McMahon kind of, established this just so Eric Bischoff could fail to his daughter. Kind of got me thinking. Kind of got me thinking. All right, 2006 when TNA was absolutely killing it. When it was my favorite time in TNA. TNA's Victory Road. It was a pay-per-view. Sting beat out Scott Steiner, Christian Cage, and Samoa Joe to earn a shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. So like I said, once when TNA was killing it, Samoa Joe, I think Styles was here as well. Also Jeff Jarrett. It took a little while, but I think Kurt Angle came later on in, like, I think it was 2007, 2008, or 2009, I think it might have been. But Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump. You had like, oh man, the underlying theme of today, the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, is WCW stars. Sting, Scott Steiner didn't go to the WWE right away. You saw Scott Steiner kind of dabble in with it a little bit, but he was kind of like, nah, I'm kind of over it. Like, you know what I mean? But, Christian Cage coming from the WWE, and then you have Samoa Joe, a very homegrown talent within the independent circuit. He eventually made it to WWE as well. Got, pretty impressive. Was the NXT, World Heavyweight Champion. But I feel like he kind of had his potential lost a little bit in WWE as well. Love what he's doing in AEW right now. Obviously, he was recently written off the show last Wednesday night because he's going to film freaking Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal is going in season 2, and yeah, he plays the clown guy. That looks insane, but he does it good. He does it good. All right, now 2020 WWE taped the cinematic swamp fight match at Extreme Rules that you saw Braun Strowman fight against Bray Wyatt. This match was pretty crazy. It was, to be honest, it was pretty crazy. At this point, you had Braun Strowman kind of the best high point of his career. Obviously, you did have that 2020 where not a lot of people were obviously during the pandemic it was pretty crazy, 1,010%. But you kind of saw WWE take chances a little bit on superstars that they were like, oh man, like Drew McIntyre coming back and winning the WWE Championship, defeating Brock Lesnar. Also, Braun Strowman finally getting a title on him after years and years and years, and fighting against Bray Wyatt. I thought ultimately it was a good match. It was kind of crazy how it all kind of all ended, but I feel like WWE is kind of heading toward a better direction. Although it was a good match, I thought it was a good match, but the cinematic stuff. For me, it's like either hit or miss. You had the Firefly Funhouse match between The Fiend and John Cena. That was absolutely amazing. I think even Dave Meltzer gave it like 10 stars. Don't quote me on that. I think as well, what else was there? The AJ Styles against The Undertaker, where The Undertaker pulled up on, on a motorcycle with Metallica and shit and stuff. and it was pretty awesome. It was pretty badass. Um, what else was a cinematic match that was pretty good? That was pretty good. Honestly, I think there was a match between Randy Orton and Bray when he went to the compound or something like that, and that was crazy. It was just pretty crazy. But they've kind of done away with the cinematic matches and stuff like that. So when are we going to see it again in the modern day WWE? I'm not too sure, but 1,010% would be something to kind of dabble in here and there once again. Would be pretty cool. Pretty cool. Lastly, 2021 WWE SmackDown, first time live audience in the Toyota Arena in Houston, Texas. Ever since the COVID-19 pandemic hit, for the longest time, like wrestling with no fans and with just empty arenas, it was eerie. It was not it was pretty depressing. I got to be honest. It was pretty depressing. I remember, working and I remember hearing about some guy getting sick, being quarantined and stuff like that. Not a lot of people knew. Not a lot of people thought that, the COVID pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic would kind of grow into something that was, kind of a big deal. It was a very big deal. People, obviously the mortality rate and stuff like that, but, in terms of wrestling, and it's kind of sad to say, but like for me, the whole COVID thing, the pandemic didn't really set well with me. Didn't really dawn on me until I saw Triple H go out saying that they're not going to have any fans in the arena for the protection. They're going to have limited superstars. And, and it was crazy. It was very crazy. It was a time that you know, I remember feeling like I kind of felt that panic. That was the thing that kind of ultimately woke me up, and it took WWE to kind of tell me it, which is kind of crazy. But like they're like that just created something. It's crazy. It's very crazy. And you saw then they created the Thunderdome with the faces and stuff like that, the tablets and stuff. And it was cool. I thought it was pretty cool. I liked it. I was like, it was oh my god, it was right when WrestleMania was happening too. Crazy. WrestleMania was fought at the Performance Center, and it was no crowd or anything. Like it was crazy. I remember they had such a badass song too. They had the "Blinded by the Lights" by The Weeknd. Ooh, I'm blinded by the lights, and like, dude, it was such a banger song. You had these 2 night events that was like filled with matches, full of title matches. Like it was loaded. It was absolutely loaded at 110%, and you found out it was going to be wrestled. Kind of created the whole 2 night thing, and then you found out it was going to be wrestled on 2 separate nights in an arena with no, I think they did fight. No, wait, no, that I could be tripping. Don't quote me on that. I think it was WrestleMania. I gotta fact check it later. I think that was the year before Raymond James Stadium. Could have been, but no, I strictly remember WrestleMania to be like fought and crowdless, kind of thing. I got a chat right here from Anthony Mazzano, hashtag MO. Dude, hi, what's up, my man? Hope y'all doing well on a Tuesday night. Hopefully your week is going by pretty swell. Um, so yeah, kind of crazy. You saw Edge teaming up with Dominic and Rey Mysterio to take on the Bloodline, Roman Reigns and the Usos. Then Finn Balor made his return from WWE NXT, and then today a couple birthdays, notable birthdays. We had Mike Bailey, Excalibur, and also Bobby Lashley. Happy birthday to you guys. Bobby Lashley, when he coming back, man? Hope you I I have high hopes for Bobby Lashley. I think he's a tremendous superstar, and I think WWE's kind of whipped on him in the Hurt Business and stuff like that. But yeah, gotta love it, gotta love it. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just to kind of, yeah. Oh, okay, awesome. Getting a couple of chats here. I wanted to, chat a couple little bit. Had something about Roman. Besides Jimmy and Jay, when Roman comes back, does he bring another person with him? Who do you think it is at first? To be honest, I think when Roman comes back, I don't think he's gonna come back with anybody. I don't think he's gonna come back with it. I know there's another superstar. They WWE trademarked a couple of names. I think Zila Tonga and also Tala Tonga or something like that. So, there could possibly be another guy out there that could, come along with Roman. I would think that he would come back and try to have Jimmy and Jay, kind of come back onto his side. So that would be, probably my, biggest bet, so to speak. And then once again, Anna Gonzalez, thank you once again. Hope you had a beautiful 4th of July and everything is fantastic between the family and the kids. Hopefully you're doing well you're doing well as well. Does that make sense? I hope you're doing well as well. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning into the show, guys. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Remember to follow us on Twitter/X, Instagram, TikTok, for more content and updates. And if I have made you a wrestling fan by now, remember we have other shows. We have our Chip Shot Football podcast. Kenneth on, both of them are football podcasts. Football, the NFL is right around the corner, guys. We also have my boy Chris Shepard with the fantasy sports. So if you want to find out who you're gonna draft, I got my draft coming up in a couple of weeks with my fantasy league. So I can't wait to tune into his show for that. We have Nelson on basketball always. We have the Andrew Tate show as well. We have Jeremy and TJ on sports. So here at the GSMC Sports Network, we just love sports, 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 and sports, and my boy Tommy on college football. So guys, once again, thank you for tuning into my show. Hope you guys have an amazing night, and I will see you tomorrow 8 p.m. sharp.